Every day I wake up, wake your ass up.
The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. Loren LoRosa is here today. We got some special guests in the building from the documentary on Netflix, Songs from the Hole. We have James Jacobs, JJ'88. We have Contessa, Gayles, and Richie Reseda. Welcome. How you guys feeling?
It's on Netflix right now, by the way.
Yes. Mm-hmm. How y'all feeling?
Great.
Feeling good?
Happy to be here.
Now, for people that haven't seen the documentary, break down what the documentary is about.
Well, it's a documentary visual album. We tell the story of my life. When I was 15, I was incarcerated for second-degree murder. And during that time, I spent 18 years in prison, and during that time, I wrote an album. I met him. We produced and recorded that album in prison, and I wrote the visuals. We met Contessa, and it grew to this film, essentially.
I want to ask you something, 88. You know, at 15, you committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
It was murder, and then 3 days later, your brother was killed.
Yeah.
So how did those two events so close together, I guess, shape your sense of identity and ultimately give you purpose, I guess?
Oh, yeah. Well, at first, it took me down, like, a really dark, like, mental place.
Mm-hmm.
And after coming through, like, you know, suicidal ideations, and just, at first I just felt kind of purposeless.
Mm-hmm.
I took a life which at 15 is kind of hard to hold and really recognize the gravity of it. But by the time I was 18 and in prison, I just kind of felt worthless and without hope. And losing my brother within that span was kind of like, he was kind of who I was emulating and admiring growing up. So it really devastated me. And however, like, through music, is like, it kind of gave me a place to talk about it and talk about what me and the homies was just experiencing, what me and my family went through. And so through, I guess through music is where I kind of found purpose in my story and where I could use it.
I want to talk about when you was 15, man, because you said something that I often feel like with these kids, and all of us were kids at some point. You make a terrible choice, a temporary decision. You know, a temporary feeling leads to a permanent decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you really understand the consequences of your actions at that time?
I mean, not in the way that I do now.
Or,
when you're 15, you know. I mean, I think when I was a kid, I knew if you shoot someone, they could die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people die. I've seen violence in my community, but I don't think I knew what it meant for real, like the finality of it at 15. I don't think I knew truly at 15 the impact it was having, not only on this person, but their family. When there's people that I've, like, got back in touch with since I got home who were, you know, there that night and had to witness that, and that night altered their life. And I didn't learn that until I was in my 30s. So you don't, at 15, you don't understand the gravity of it, but you do understand that it is serious.
Mm-hmm.
And the older I got, the more mature I became, the more I understood how serious it is, which is why we made this film, for real.
Now, you were charged as an adult, not a child? Why was that?
Because California is racist.
To put it simple.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
that
'cause
simple.
at 15, serving 18 years, it just seems like in any other state you would have been charged as a child and given a second chance, another opportunity on life.
Nah, they doing it in other states too. They charge kids as adults because they want to take away futures, and they have a belief in this, like, punishment system. We live in a culture where revenge is normal. We value it as a culture. Revenge is something that we explore. Me being a perpetrator of murder and having my brother murdered is something that I had to face for myself, you know? So the reason why they charge us as adults when we're kids is because they believe in revenge. They believe in retribution. They believe in eye for an eye.
At 15 years old, when you were standing in front of the judge, not really understanding what's happening in your sentence, in the doc, you talk about looking over to your attorney and being like, so when am I going home?
Yeah.
Right? At that moment as a kid, what did you need outside of just being locked away behind bars? Like, what could they have given you that would have actually, like, in that moment helped you reform?
Do you mean like after I've committed murder, like what to offer a kid?
Yeah, like what should be the the rehabilitation of a person that is 15 years old that murders a person?
I don't know what it should be. I can tell you what I did. What helped me was like just having safe places to talk about it. So I didn't to talk about what I had done. I don't think I needed to necessarily be locked away. Once I committed murder, I knew it was foul. I felt the seriousness of it. It wasn't like I wasn't celebrated by my homies. So I knew that this was not the move to make, but I needed to understand why, and I didn't get that opportunity. In court, they don't give you an opportunity to understand why you are in this moment, how serious it is that you have taken a life, and there's no plan to help you mature through it and process it,
You said you weren't celebrated. You also talk a lot about how you thought, like, this is kind of like a song. Like, we talk about it in songs. The song is over,
Yeah.
So you had an idea of what you thought committing a crime would be like, and then you actually found yourself committing the crime. Different.
I mean, that's true for a lot of my homies. We listen to music, and this is no like condemnation on like hip hop and the music we grow up on. I think it's just true that when I listened to music as a kid, when I watched films as a kid and I saw violence, it didn't seem, the film cuts off. And then I see the nigga on the red carpet, I see him on the red carpet. Like, it's regular. You don't really understand that person in that story didn't come back in real life. And so as a kid, I thought, in 2003, 2004, I was listening to Get Rich or Die Trying. And like, that was the epitome of being a gangster. And so once I realized after, as a kid, it ain't, just a song. It like when you go back to your homies, they gonna look at you and they gonna be scared of you. They gonna look at you and they gonna have real fear, like, what did you just do? The homies ask me, what you just do, fool? What did you do? Like, why did you do that? Everybody I know who had a murder in prison, like, none of them got dapped up when they homies found out. Everybody
Really?
For what? They might talk about it in
Even
like
if it's
they tell war stories, sure, but it's like not after it happened. I don't know nobody who got dapped up directly after. Like, oh, we did that. Let's go. Them niggas is in that car, quiet,
dealing with the gravity of what they
smoking, drinking.
Yeah, trying
to numb out.
Them niggas is seriously quiet. It ain't no game. Like, that's what I came to realize, that you take a life. It ain't fun. It's not honorable to me, especially in the context of just regular street like shit.
Contessa and Richie, how did y'all connect with James to help him tell his story?
So what 88 didn't share was that he wrote the music that's in the film in solitary confinement. After he got out of solitary, he transferred to the prison where Richie was at, and that's how they met. He could talk about how they collaborated more on the music. But I met the both of them when I was filming a documentary for CNN. I used to work at CNN, and the last project I did for them was a feature called The Feminists on Cell Block Y. And it was about a group that Richie had co-founded in prison and was leading for his fellow incarcerated men, where they were reading feminist literature like Bell Hooks and, learning about patriarchy and how it shows up in their lives and unlearning it. So Richie was leading that group, and 88 was a participant and a co-facilitator of that group. And that was the first time that I heard a little bit of 88's story. And it was the last day of filming that documentary. It had nothing to do with the group, but the two of them were in the prison gym. And it was Richie's last day at the prison. He was about to be transferred to finish his sentence somewhere else. And they had the prison rental keyboard, and Richie had the keyboard on a trash can, and 88 was singing and rapping some of those songs that he wrote in solitary. And there was a group of the guys gathered around, and like they knew all the lyrics, so you could tell like this is stuff, something that they've been sharing. And I was just struck by like how powerful the music was, how much storytelling there was in 88's lyrics, but I didn't know the context of you know, his story and the relationship between that and the music and how he came to the whole and writing that music in the whole. Fast forward a year after that film came out, they both approached me about, you know, would you want to work on a visual album using 88's music? You know, you heard some of it. I was like, send me what you got. And once I like listened to the recordings and really like over the course of our development got to know more about how 88 came to the whole and then writing the music there and then what they were able to do inside producing a whole album, I knew that we had something really special that could really be a testimony. Like 88's story is a testimony and the music is so impactful in being able to like hold the narrative and tell his story. So we started collaborating from there and really like evolved our relationship from this like kind of more traditional space of like journalistic. I was the filmmaker, they were the film participants, to like co-collaborators on this project. And it was a true collaboration. Like 88 was inside the whole time. We were 8 months into the edit when he was released and we managed to figure out how to collaborate across the prison walls through phone calls, through letters, you know, 15-minute phone calls at a time. That's how we met.
I got a 2-part question for you, 88.
Well, you gonna ask Richie how they met? Because I know you asked both of them, but Richie didn't.
Yeah,
Oh,
Richie
prison.
could fill in more though with
Okay.
it.
I had met 88 while I was in prison. I had just released an album from prison, so everybody at the prison kind of knew me as a producer. So when 88 got to the yard, the people who knew him from other prisons were like, "You got to meet 88. You got to meet 88." And you know, I wasn't. Everybody in prison think they can rap just like everybody on the streets think they can rap. You know what I'm saying?
And you ain't got nowhere to go. You gotta hear this shit.
Yeah, so I wasn't like in a rush to meet him necessarily. I was like, okay. But when I did meet him, we have a homie named Talib who was trying to put together a poetry book. So he was bringing all these artists together, and we had met in the law library, and I heard him rap and sing, and I was blown away. Honestly, he could both rap and sing very well, which a lot of people can't do. Usually they do one well, and then the other they kind of do for fun. And the story he was telling and the position he had on it. It's not an easy thing to make music that doesn't necessarily glorify or judge the streets. And I was like, yo, let's make this album.
Y'all had all the equipment in jail? Y'all were able to have the equipment in jail?
Nah, we broke the rules.
Okay.
The way that we made the album was against the rules.
Well, y'all out now, so how did y'all do it? 'Cause-
But I can't tell you.
Okay, all right.
Because it's people in who still make music that way. But yeah, the way we made this album in prison was completely against the rules. The prison was against it in every way. They ran up in my cell. They threatened to send me to the hole for making music, and but it was like
they denied me at board for making music.
Really?
I was able to be a part of a collaboration that Richie was EPing, and it featured incarcerated artists and free artists. And when I got to board, they named that as like a reason why I was a danger to society, is that you make music.
Wow.
yeah.
So
it's important to point out he had life. He wasn't sentenced to 18 years. He was sentenced to 40 years to double life.
Right.
So, you know, we didn't know when 88 was coming home. We knew spiritually he was coming home, but we didn't know when he was coming home. So when we finished the album, we were like, you know, typically you do an album, then you tour it. And we didn't have that opportunity with him. So we were like, let's do a visual album. And that's kind of how the idea began. Then we approached Contessa, and she built it out to an actual film.
One other question. Is it true that you can't profit off of a crime that was done? Is that true? I always used to hear that.
So in California, the way that the law is written is that basically you can't take, if you're incarcerated in California, you can't talk about your crime in a way that makes you money. So you can't write a book about it and make money. You can't make music about it or a film or anything and make money. All of that typically has to go to the people who are impacted about the crime. And 88's case is unique in that the album and the film is not about the fact that he harmed somebody, but rather that he had committed harm and he had been harmed, that his brother was murdered. But we also didn't release it until he got out.
During your time in solitary confinement, 88, like you turned music into a lifeline, right? Like, what was the moment you realized music was an escape for you? Because I know that probably what kept you sane in the hole.
Yeah, as soon as I got in, as soon as I got locked up, I knew. I grew up with music. I grew up in the church. I grew up singing. I grew up rapping. I started like writing in about the 7th grade. So when I got locked up, you don't know what the hell to do when you're a kid just in a box, kind of. You're just sitting there thinking, you're listening to different sounds, and suddenly next to me, the cell next to me is the homie, we call him Johnny West, Jonathan Marquez. He beating on the bed and he rapping, but he rapping radio songs. Some of his, he was rapping some of his stuff, but mostly he was just rapping songs that we all knew. And so I was like, hey, yo, I yelled through the vent like, yo, I could rap too. Like, when we come out, we gonna rap. We get to the day room, he beat on the table. And when I perform like these little chicken shit ass, excuse my language, these little like, raps I wrote in this cell, the kids is kind of like, yo, you hard. And it's like changing the environment. So when I realized like, oh, I could impact people around me just by, occupying our time, they not like annoyed trying to get away from me, they like spit that song. I started to do it more, and then I shared it with my father, who is an elder in the church and doesn't listen to hip hop, and he's just like, well, son, music brings people joy, so if you share your gift with them and become their joy, they will protect their joy. And so share your gift with people and you'll see that.
Is that the moment you realized that music could also be your voice?
Yeah, I mean, I've always known music was a medium to like express myself and use my voice. It was gonna come in some oratory fashion for me. My dad being a pastor, my mom being a singer, I knew like the power of my voice. I just didn't know the significance of it. Sometimes I still don't, but I didn't know that it could be meaningful to write what's happening in my life, to be meaningful, or that people would actually value it and care about it, until I started to see the impact I was having on the yard.
Contessa, there's footage in the doc that shows a time when 88 and his family was still fighting for him to get out of prison. What made you see the value in his story before knowing he'd be freed in there?
The value to me was the music itself, and I think we can share a little bit. I hope folks go watch the film on Netflix, but the whole story is leading up to the moment where 88 realizes that he's incarcerated with the person who killed his brother. Knowing that and what happened after that, maybe that's the part I won't say, but that there was like so much power for healing and transformation if people heard this story, to understand that, what we were talking about in terms of like our culture's obsession and reliance on retribution and punishment and revenge, like we can choose something else in our interpersonal relationships and systemically. So that's what drew me to it. But no, we had no idea that that 88 would have the opportunities that he had to come home. Like Richie said, he had 40 years to life plus life. And we kind of structured the whole narrative arc of the story around spiritual freedom and like internal healing and freedom. And that's, each music video treatment kind of builds on that, healing the younger self. We didn't know that we would have the ending that we would have in the film when we started. And once those opportunities started picking up, so we're following, his family going to court, what's condensed down in the film was 2.5 years of going to court. And then commutation from the governor. We had to follow it in real time because it was relevant to the story. But it really was never a film about, because I think there's a lot of films about incarceration where it's centered on, does the person get to come home? And do we all get to celebrate at the end if they come home? We wanted to resist that because we really wanted it to feel like everyone watching this had an entry point into their own healing. So to make it about the spiritual journey was more satisfying for me creatively, and I think for all of us spiritually. But then, we got the other ending too.
The legal reason why I got home is irrelevant, because it's not legality that's gonna get us free. For the incarcerated and for us as a people.
Expound on that, brother, because I like where you're going with this. Expound on that.
Like, so what I'm saying is, like, we participate in this system. We vote, we pay our taxes, we do the thing, and it's not working. It's not working for nobody. So it's working for the people who set it up. That's true. It's working for some, but it's for us.
The system is working for the
Right.
people it was designed to work for.
Right.
That's
For us, it's a different story, and so my logic tell me it ain't gonna be that get me free.
No, I agree with that. I've been running that thought in my mind lately. Like, I think that we're just past the point of any political solutions.
No,
You know?
we need freedom now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask,
Hold on, Richie about to say something.
Okay,
I was just gonna quickly say it's if you think about it, like it's kind of silly to even believe that a system that was also set up by other flawed human beings is perfect, and that just by following the rules or voting or just like following the system that someone else set up, that's all that's needed in when our problems are so great. Like, actually, I think it calls upon us to say, okay, we can look at how this system is an improvement from, the feudal system and kings and queens and serfs, and okay, we've improved from there, and there is much more improvement that needs to be done if we're going to live in integrity with each other in the earth.
I wanted to ask, it's hard not to talk about this because you really want people to see it, right? You want people to see the ins and outs of this documentary. But I do want to ask about forgiveness, right? I was talking to Loren earlier, and she was like, certain things I just can't forgive, right? She was like, I can't, like, my family can and I can't. And I think Charlamagne knows me. There's certain things I ain't forgiving. It's like, it just is what it is. It's just, how did you find, I would say, I don't even want to say the courage, but how did you break down and be able to forgive somebody, especially the person that, killed your brother? How, like, when did that happen? Was it immediately? Did it take some time? Was it talking to your dad who's a pastor? When?
When I met him, I had to make a decision. It is not a superpower. It is not an impossibility to all due respect to the things you say you can't forgive. It's not.
I'm just not there yet. I'll get there one day. I'm just not there yet.
But truly, it's a matter of choosing it. It's a matter of saying, to me, what this is how I defined forgiveness for myself in that moment. You kill my brother, right? How you get that back? How? He gone. Can't. Gone. What do you owe me now? Because that's what we're talking about in retribution and a retaliatory like system. It's like, now you owe me. So this man Jay killed my brother. Now you owe me. What do you owe me? You owe me my brother. What's the value of my brother's life? It ain't even yours. It ain't even your life for real. Your life is valued differently than my brother's. So I can't just take your life. So now I know you can't pay me back. So what I'm gonna do? Be mad my whole life? I know you can't give it back. I know you can't. That's first for forgiveness. I know you can't pay that debt. So forgiveness to me is releasing within myself what I think you owe me because you hurt me. It's just letting go this idea that you gonna somehow give it back or you gonna somehow realize that you owe it. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me letting go of what it is I think you owe me because you did me sour, right? Now add to that, I did somebody foul. I did a number of somebody's foul throughout my life. And I am not like, that's not my legacy that I want to leave. It's not something that I want to be like, I want to be known for hurting people. Nobody wants to be known for hurting people. And when you hurt someone as seriously as I have, and you want to be accountable for it, then you got to look at all the parts of your life.
But you were accountable. If that individual wasn't accountable,
no. If he wasn't accountable, it don't make no
doesn't matter
difference.
to you.
It's just a subject.
Are you accountable?
About you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question, don't you got to give, you would have to give the person who killed your brother the same grace you would want the people, the family that, you killed to give you, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think that was clear for me. But I do not think that is a requirement for forgiveness, that you have to do an equal harm in order to forgive somebody who has harmed you. Because the truth is we all commit harm daily, in some form or another. And I think for me to forgive, I knew I wanted it in my life. I was trying to be as accountable as I could be growing up in prison. But I knew I wanted forgiveness more than I wanted anything, because forgiveness symbolized being restored back to my community. It symbolized me being restored back to my value that my grandmother sees when she look at me, you know? But I know the more and more I become accountable, forgiveness isn't something I can ask for. It's not even, I just took everything, or I took a lot from you, and now I'm gonna ask you to give me something else, like give me grace. It's not something I feel willing to ask for. However, what I can do is plant the seed in the universe. I can plant the seed in my daily walk and in the way I live, and maybe it'll come back. Maybe it'll come to somebody who needs it in my life. But either way, a friend of mine, Chris Wachnick, used to always say, sow a seed from your greatest need. What you need the most, go give it to somebody.
Man, okay, real quick. I just want to stay here for 1 second, 88, because it's such an interesting space. How have you navigated the tension between accountability and self-forgiveness?
Again, like, what do I owe? Can I pay back what I owe? Even what I think I owe to myself, or I'm faithful in God that He will forgive me and that He has forgiven me. And to me, that's enough. All I have to do is be honest about where I was at when I did whatever I did, where I'm at when I do whatever I do. Being accountable is key. Having integrity to that accountability is the goal. I'm not trying to be like a saint and say like everybody should forgive, and I have the story on how to learn how to forgive. This is like an opportunity for people to discuss if forgiveness is necessary. Do we want a society of forgiveness, or do we want one of revenge? So far, we have chosen revenge. Where has it gotten us? My dad stood up in court and looked at Jay get sentenced, and he was like, "This does nothing for me. It did absolutely nothing for my family that young man got life in prison. Nothing. Wow. Nothing. They son was still gone, and they other son still had 40 years to life plus life. What could you give my parents besides an opportunity for healing and reconciliation? You know?
What has the journey been like for your parents now that the documentary is out and they can kind of look back and watch it? I know in the documentary, your mom talked about kind of like the guilt that they felt when everything first happened with you, and you felt like you were crying out and things of that nature. Like, what is it like now for them being able to see it in the documentary?
I think they're proud that the three of us have found a way to tell our family story in a way that's like building something and adding value. I guess when you go through it, it can sometimes feel like, what is all this for? Why am I, especially for my parents who, in my opinion, have done all they could do for their children, for their lives, providing a good life for us, and they suffered great loss. So I think now when they see it in the film, they're incredibly proud of us in the way that we've been able to like share this story.
Let Contessa answer that.
Yeah, I actually just talked to 88's mom yesterday, and she was encouraging me that this film is doing what we had hoped it would do out in the world. Like, it is healing people. It's allowing people to feel seen and heard, that what they went through mattered. And I know that was their experience. You know, at first they were apprehensive, and they were just kind of like listening to their son be like, oh, we're making this film. But, you know, he's locked up, and me and Richie are on the outside coming to their house and starting to do the interview process and spend all this time with them. And I think they were apprehensive at first, but they came to realize, I think, pretty quickly that their story mattered, and that their story would reflect a lot of family stories and help a lot of people heal.
There's a scene in the doc when actors are portraying James' family and the family of the young man that James killed in the courthouse. They're both played by the same actors. Was that intentional?
It was intentional.
Okay.
That choice was really about that family standing in for all families, no matter what side of harm they find themselves on, because, you know, 88's story is not, unfortunately, unique, and that you can experience harm and cause harm in the same turn. And so to choose just one set of actors and to place them in all of the different ways that we place them, they work as multiple families throughout the course of the film, and that was 88's idea.
Oh.
What do you hope that this film does for young men or women that are in it right now, just trying to survive the way that they know how best? Like
in what you
in
mean?
the streets, like they trying to just day by day, all they know is survival, trying to get through. What do you, if they get a chance to watch this, like what do you want them to stop in their tracks and think at the end of the documentary?
I think I would want them to. I hope that they can see the process that it took to heal. It took community. It took Richie. It took Contessa. It took my homies in prison that I was around to hold me accountable to who I said I wanted to be. So my advice to them as they watch this film is to think about that and think about who in your life is going to hold you accountable to who you say you want to be. Not, and not in a way that's going to shame you or guilt you back into doing the right thing or being correct, but truly going to be like, I remember you said you wanted to do X. Like, how is that going? And checking in with them and to surround yourself with people who will do that, who will hold you accountable to who you say you want to be. That's the way out of trying to survive.
Richie, why do you put all the letters lowercase in your name? Is that like what's?
Yeah, it's on purpose. I did that. I was inspired by bell hooks to do that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think it's like English is such a egocentric kind of language, and I think bell hooks does it from an anti-capitalist space. Dreamhampton does it similarly. Dreamhampton's one of our EPs and a friend of mine, and I seen she do it.
Dream.
Yeah, shout out to Dream.
She's a genius.
Absolutely.
That's a better word.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And yeah, so I was just inspired to model after people who I feel like kind of mentored me. And I think it has everything to do with what this film is about. Like, we have all committed harm and we have all survived harm. And when we have the kind of, like, this film is not saying everybody has to go forgive. That's quote unquote the right thing to do. As much as it's saying, like, what else is possible besides revenge? I don't know. It takes our ego out of being the center of it.
What else is possible other than revenge?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that is very hard to explore when you probably are dealing with a lot of your own unhealed trauma and a lot of your own pain and a lot of your own hurt. Like, I think it takes a person that's already done some work to even know what that is. What is there other than revenge? Because that's what you think, just naturally, automatically.
That's why I think this story is so powerful, because it just, and going to the capital letter thing, it's just about humility. Like, knowing that I committed harm puts me in a position that when someone harms me, I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel good, but this person is not different than me. I'm not better than them. I'm not better than nobody. And therefore, the kind of accountability we're talking about in the film and in our community is not who was wrong and who needs to be punished. It's what happened and what needs to change so that I can show up the way that I want to show up. And when we have our people hold us accountable to that because we need each other, that's the other thing. The system has convinced us we don't need each other. It's convinced us that as long as you have money, you don't need nobody. That's what makes the police even quote unquote necessary to begin with, is this idea that we need to be scared with guns to like treat each other well. But when we know we need each other, back when we know we need each other, we don't need to be scared into treating each other well. And when we move from that more humble place, it's not so like, you wronged me and now I need to wrong you and I'm the good guy and you're the bad guy. It's like, you wronged me as I feel hurt by you, and I know I have hurt other people, and what needs to change so that we're not hurting each other.
Why is it so hard for men to admit that another man just hurt their feelings?
I think men are even more addicted to this system. We're like more addicted to the ego-based system because we're like privileged by it. That's why the people who get the most out of it are the ones who are the least likely to let go. For anything, if there's a fucked up situation, but you kind of benefit from it, you're probably more likely to let it keep going on. And this system, this culture, also a key element of it is defensiveness. So it's like the more addicted to it you are, the more defensive you are about it. And I think men, I don't think it's like in our nature to be like that, but I think it's how we're raised to be in this system for sure.
I also think, when a person forgives, when the aggressor forgives, right? Like the person that can actually do you harm. It's easy to forgive when you're in the weaker position, like, okay, I ain't got no choice but to forgive me, he'll beat my ass, right? But when you are the person that can actually do the harm and they forgive, that to me, that's a different level.
It's like Gandhi said, we don't choose nonviolence because we're scared. If my followers were scared, I would tell them go fight. We choose nonviolence because we are choosing nonviolence.
Definitely check out songs
Hold on, I want to ask
from the whole.
Contessa, you and Dream, how did you connect with Dream? Because Dream is very intentional about what she decided to do. How did she decide she wanted to be a part of this?
Dream is actually a mentor of Richie's. So, you know, Richie was the
She
one
would be
who was...
hot if we called her a mentor, though.
She's a friend.
She's a friend. But she has obviously been in this business a lot longer than I have, and I've learned a lot from her.
Where you from? You from Detroit? Or?
No, I'm from L.A.
Okay.
I met Dream while I was in prison through Patrice. Dream and Patrice knew each other. Patrice Colors knew each other for a long time. And then Patrice connected us, and we started writing while we were in prison while she was working on the R. Kelly stuff.
Got you.
Yeah, so she came on as an EP, as one of the first people to EP it. She had saw Contessa's first film, The Feminist on Cell Block Y, which 88 and I are in as well. She was talking about kind of following our work, doing integrity work with other men in the prison. And she was a fan of that film. So when I had approached her and be like, do you want to support this film? She was all for it.
I just got two more questions. 88, you kept your original prison recorded vocals, right?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, that was the voice I used. We took great risk. We risked our freedom to make those recordings, and that was the album Richie and I wanted to release. So we thought it was important.
And you probably couldn't recreate that rawness. From
No.
You definitely you can't recreate it. It was a moment in time that was like, you know, really spiritual, really a blessed experience for me. One of the few blessed experiences while I was inside, to be able to record that music with Richie.
And it just shows how incarcerated people are worthwhile. Us in our early 20s in prison making music, like the fact that music is now on Netflix and on streamers and on like vinyl and being heard all over the world. I be looking at our stats on the distributor platform and seeing people are listening to this music in Brazil, and we made it in prison. It's so affirming to me, to us, but also to other people who are in prison right now. Like you can be whoever you want to be. You don't have to be who they tell you got to be. Whether that they be the prison system or the streets, you could be who you want to be, not who they tell you got to be.
And Contessa, what do you want people to take away from this story?
What Richie said. I mean, I saw my brothers when I came into the prison, and I also grew up in church like 88. And so we really connected on like the music, you know, growing up in the church, listening to gospel music, having that type of family. And that's why I connected so deeply to the music, because it's also it's hip hop, but it's so spiritual. And I want people to know that healing is possible, and that it can come in different forms. And our film, I think, is an offering in that regard. Like there's multiple lanes, there's multiple portals, there's multiple entry points into people finding their healing. And that's why I made the film.
Has a label ever reached out and said they wanted to sign you, or not as of yet?
A couple.
You thinking about signing or independent?
I like being independent right now. It's mine.
Do what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it.
Yeah, but you know, I'll take a call.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Songs from the Hole, the documentary on Netflix right now. Definitely check it out, and we appreciate you guys for joining
Thank y'all
us.
for having us, truly.
James, JJ'88, Jacobs, Contessa, Gayles, and Richie Small R. Reseda. Thank you so much. That's the Breakfast Club.
On me.
Every day I wake up, wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?